Greetings, everyone. It's time to eat a little piece of this miserable chocolate. Just pretty exciting. All right. We are dealing with a new day. So we're excited about this. Cracking open this brand new sketchbook. Bringing out some classic means by which to do stuff. So more ink, obviously. I'll set that Smurf aside because it's been hanging out here too long. But we're going to do something fun for the next 6 videos. Now, in storytelling of days gone by, people would replicate stories, or I should say, well, the written word by hand. So monks or whomever. And a way of illustrating those stories was the use of using initial letters, or sometimes referred to as drop caps. So that's what we're going to do, only we're going to be crafty, and we're going to just do the vowels. So we're going to do this a little bit differently. I don't always pencil in stuff, but we're going to, just for sake of getting the main body of the letter done. So we're going to do the vowels, so A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. Well, we're going to start off with A. And let's zoom in just a little bit so you can see what I'm up to. I'm just going to do it kind of quick. And maybe, just maybe, we'll fix everything as we go after the fact. So that's roughly the A that we're going to work with. And for fun, we're going to choose a drop cap that would somehow be part of a story. So let's say that this particular A is going to start off a story about, let's make up something. A winter's day and discovering, let's say an old tree. That could be interesting. So what we're going to do, even before I bring out that pen again, we're going to somehow incorporate that old tree on a winter's day into this drop cap. So let's say right along here, we're going to have kind of an old tree. It's just going to be in the background. And for fun, let's put in a moon up here. But do we want a face on that moon? I don't know. So let's say a little bit of a face. Actually, we don't know if we want the face to be smiling or not, but we'll change that up soon enough. So cheekbones, a little bit of a brow. So we have that. What else could there be? Well, we have that old tree hiding in the background. Could there be an animal somewhere in our little made-up story? So we got a moon. If we were crafty enough, it could have been a full moon. We can change that if we want. It could be about a werewolf. But what if it was a were skunk? There you go. Since we've We've dealt with skunks in the past by looking at that terrible He-Man figure. And their skunk's tail, like an oversized, well, let's say squirrel, would have that white stripe through it. This is just rough idea things. I don't know what other things we can add, filigree, whatnot. Some of it, like the skunk could be holding onto that there. The moon could actually overlap just a little bit. Okay, so that's what we have. Now, it's time for the embellishment, and you have to remember what stuff overlaps as well. So the last thing that's drawn with a letter should be amongst the first, just for fun. Now, different versions of the drop letter itself, you can have thorns, for example. I mean, we'll do that on another one, I'm sure. Perhaps with E, we'll figure out something that could be related to a sport, for example. So let's keep that in mind for the next video. Just like that. So after all these things, we must make note of certain other things. For example, do we want to add color to this? Nothing wrong if we do. We don't have to, though. I often work in black and white anyway. Now, you'd mainly see these being used in, well, for some of us would notice them more so, used in fairy tales. The sort of the books that I would have seen them used in. I wouldn't have had manuscripts or things like that. This one will be a reasonably easy version. So I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. And going out of your way for adventures when possible. Because you should have adventures every so often. Now the tree is definitely in the background of this A. Not really any overlapping that's happening. At least we didn't set it up for that. We're going to make this moon a little better. Little tiny cheekbones. A little tiny mouth and chin. Now for the little skunk. A little tiny smile maybe. Little tiny rodent-like ears. Little tiny thumbs up. If any of you can make that out, that's cool. Now we're going to get this tail looked after. I'm under the impression that if you see a skunk and they decide to face you, that they kind of flip over before they spray you. I've not seen this in person, and I don't know if that is just like some sort of trickery, if that's what they actually do or not. I'm under the assumption that that's the case, though. I was trying to leave a little bit of definition between the back of the skunk and the tail. I've seen them. I actually knew somebody that had a skunk as a pet. And I don't know if they're, the scent gland or something like that was somehow changed, or I don't think you're allowed to do such a thing, so I'm not really sure why they didn't get sprayed all the time by the skunk. But maybe the skunk didn't feel threatened. I have no idea. So, we're going to have a little songbird here. Perhaps a little songbird would wave as well, although that doesn't look like waving. Oh well, that looks like a pompadour. Hilarious. A little fluffy cloud holding up the underside of the moon. Perhaps we'll let that pompadour get chewed up a little bit by clouds as well, that have slight little faces that only you and I will know about. There we go. So we've made a drop cap. What I'll do now is I'm just going to trace around the entire thing again. Then we'll consider doing some color or not. Because we don't have to if we don't want to. while we're here, we'll add a little bit of shading, as if some part of that casts a shadow. A little bit more shading here. That's fun, don't you think? Now we can do as if the light source is up above or not. It doesn't really matter. We're going to do some here. The moon perhaps is creating our light source. Okay. Now that we've done that, and we'll add a little bit more detail to the tree. Now here's where we can do what we need to do. So we can create a border before we write if we wish, or not. It doesn't have to be. So let's just go, we'll make up something. Oops. When walking, in the woods. I'll read it when I'm done. Or you can read it as I go, but I'll still read it when I'm finished. There you go. Well, what that says is always be aware of your footing when walking in the woods. There are a few animals that you don't want to run into, like a bear or that skunk that lives near that old tree. So that's interesting. Now we could add a little bit of color to that, I suppose, if we like. Now let's see here. We will just put a little bit of green where the tree is. Just a little bit of green. Kind of spruce it up a little bit. Anyway. Okay. That's a little bit of green. We'll add a little bit of yes. Next, we'll take care of that moon. A little bit of yellow. Then we'll drift in a highlight of a little bit of blue. As well we should. And for the A itself, let's make it bold and red. Sure. And maybe we can pull in some of the ink. Just a little bit. Mute that color a little bit. Now I can imagine when books would have been handwritten, what a horrible feeling it would be. Now, mind you, there'd be a lot of patient, practiced drawing and illustrating that would happen in those old manuscripts. Like you would check it multiple times. You don't want to be the person that makes the mistake, but I wonder how often the original manuscript would have a mistake, and the person replicating it would just replicate that same mistake. Because I'm sure at the end of each sort of session, somebody would go like, okay, so we got to check this person's work, and they would do a word for word check. But I wonder if there was ever like a, okay, so let's correct this, because for some reason you said that this was this, and that wasn't true. I doubt very much that was the thing. Okay, so we've made a bold letter A, and this is what will complete today's doodle. I think that's it. We have finished for now with our drop cap. So we have a wonderful tree in the background with a moon looking kind of sleepy, but not really sleepy. A skunk giving a thumbs up with some clouds in the background there as well. So, folks, I hope you have a wonderful day, or had a wonderful day, depending on when you're hanging out with me. And yeah, we'll hopefully get to see you again here soon.